Hi. I'm just going to go over some tips for doing really well in your online classes. Some of these things are things that have worked really well for me. A lot of them are kind of just you're going to have to feel it out and see what works for you and your specific learning style. But here are a couple tips and a couple choices you can make to intentionally study better and absorb information better from your courses. So first, just a little bit about me. Hi, my name's Brynn. I'm a senior political science major. I'm the president of Phi Sigma Sigma Sorority, a member of Leadership Mentors. And fun fact, I've memorized every state flag. Just a little about me to get acquainted. So here I've just laid out the top 4 tips, which are just scheduling, goal setting, note taking, community, and self. And obviously, I'll go into more depth on each one of those and what those kind of entail. If you need a better way to memorize it, I came up with a mnemonic device. Silly geese, nag, crusty shellfish. It's a little hard to say, it's a little bit of a tongue twister. But mnemonic devices are just easier ways to remember long lists of things. So if you want an easier way to remember it, there's one for you. You can make your own if you'd like. So the first section is just scheduling. So creating a schedule. Your agenda is going to be your best friend this semester. If you don't have an agenda, you should really get one. If you don't want to buy one, you can totally use something like Google Calendar or Apple Calendar, anything like that. That'll sync up with the cloud. There's also one that comes with Outlook, and all of you guys should have an Outlook account because you get one with your NKU email. So that's a super easy way to keep track of times and schedules. Block scheduling is what I use, which is this method that I've kind of put an example of on the right side, where you literally block out your day and plan what you're going to do. My best advice for using block scheduling is to plan your day out in advance and then set reminders if you need to, or just keep your agenda or calendar, whatever you use, up and in front of you. It may even help to set little alarms. Make sure to also schedule breaks in there. Another thing you're going to want to do is just be intentional and deliberate with doing block scheduling, making sure that when you schedule, an hour of time here, you're actually doing what you're writing down, and you're making sure that you have a clear set goal for that chunk or block of time. Additionally, you're going to want to determine when you're at your best. So if you wake up super late in the afternoon, one, you're probably going to want to wake up a little earlier. But the second you wake up is probably not a good time to start, just because you're probably still a little groggy. So make sure that when you're block scheduling, you're scheduling time to wake up, drink a cup of coffee if you drink coffee, get some breakfast, so you're not trying to learn on an empty stomach. So determine when you're usually at your best after waking up. If you work a job, making sure that you give yourself a little bit of downtime when you get back from work and then go into studying or doing assignments. That way you're actually ready to learn and absorb the information. So next is note-taking. So note-taking is huge. There are many options for note-taking. There are different styles of note-taking, and really that's up to you, what you want to do, whether you would rather annotate notes or assignments in class, or whether you just take notes on readings that you do in class, whether you want to use something like Cornell Notes, or look up a guide for annotations versus making your own, rules for annotating. Studies have shown that handwriting notes is the most effective way to learn the material because you're actively writing it versus typing it. But it's really up to you what you want to do. I usually type my notes during the lecture or while I'm actively learning it, whether the professor's in front of me or not, and then I'll handwrite them later as a form of studying. So the main goal is you want to be able to keep up with lectures. It's not really, you can do it at your own pace, but it's not exactly the most time effective if you're, let's say, watching a lecture, like a pre-recorded lecture, to stop it every 2 seconds because, oh, I need to write that down. If you can type a lot faster, it's probably better to take notes on your laptop and then write them later as a form of studying. But again, it's completely up to you. If you know you're going to take them on your laptop and then not rewrite them, it might be better for you to just handwrite them to begin with. So you might have to feel that one out. But again, your main goals with note taking are being able to keep up with the lecturer and also being able to absorb the information and actually learn what you're writing. Next is goal setting, which is pretty simple. You want to make a goal of assignments and even outcomes for the class, what you hope to get out of the course or what you hope to get out of your study break that you've blocked in. But additionally, don't let your goals become limitations. If you hit your goal and you still feel like you're in your stride, go ahead and do something else relative to that goal or that class that you're working on. You don't have to stop just because you've hit your goal. You can celebrate your goal and then keep going. Also with goals, don't be afraid to ask questions and look for answers. I put this on goals instead of another section just because I think a lot of times we get really nervous to ask questions and look for answers ourselves. So always ask questions, utilize your professors, email, reach out to them, utilize their office hours, even though those may look a little different this semester. But utilize those resources because your professors really are there to help you. Additionally, always look for answers on your own first. That's usually the best way to get a good answer. If you can't figure it out, email your professor, ask a classmate, but don't be afraid to do a little searching on your own as well. And then again with goal setting, you really want to make sure that your goals fall in line with SMART goals. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, assignable, relevant, and time-based. So specific, you want to make sure you're really in detail with what goal you have, what you want to get out of it, and yeah, measurable. What is it that you're going for? How will you know when you get there? Assignable, making sure that you can do the task and it's reasonable, it's not too far out there. Relevant, making sure that the goal also isn't unobtainable and that it's something within your wheelhouse that you can do. And also, I mean, if it's school related, you're going to make it related to one of your courses. And then additionally, time-based. So you want to set a time that the goal has to be completed by instead of just kind of pushing it off. So for example, I want to achieve an A in my Introduction to Psychology course by the end of the term. So here it's specific, measurable, assignable, relevant, and time-based. You can even go into more detail with something like this and kind of put how you're going to do it. You can always do tinier goals inside one big goal. That way you can kind of track your progress and know where you're at with your goal. I love lists, making lists and crossing things off. It feels really good to cross things off, so if you're a list person, I highly recommend doing that. Next is to connect. So create a community. We're all online, so it is a little difficult to create a community, but if you can, this is a really good time to do it because it's a lot harder, but it's going to be a lot more worthwhile. So make sure that you're engaging with other students in your courses and professors. So you want to make sure that you're reaching out to your professors if you need help, you're reaching out to other classmates if you need help. Study groups are an awesome way to study together and kind of put all of your heads together, especially when you get closer to exam time. You can make a big old Google Doc full of notes that everyone's taken. That way you can study, and maybe if you missed a day in class, someone else will have the notes and you can study that way. So it's really good to rack everyone else's brains too, especially if some of the questions on the exam or questions on an assignment in class are going to be more open-ended. It's a great way to get other ideas and really talk about subjects in depth. And these study groups can also be people that aren't directly in your classes. Maybe they're in your major and they've had this professor before or they've taken this class before and may have some helpful tips and tricks on what they did in the class and how they studied too. Additionally, you want to answer questions. So just like you'd like to get answers from someone when you ask them, they would love to get answers back when they ask them, especially if you know the answer. Oftentimes, if you can teach the subject, not like in its entirety, but if you can teach a small portion of the subject, that means that you know it really well. And it's going to kind of cement that in your brain if you're able to answer questions and in a way kind of teach about a section of the course, even if it is just one question and it's a smaller section. You can teach it. You can be pretty sure that you've got that part. And then additionally, this doesn't just have to be in your classes. Creating a community doesn't have to be revolved around academics. Creating a community can also look like just having friends and hanging out with those friends, whether it be virtual or safely in person. You probably can't get as close as the people in the bottom picture are, but if you're able to hang out with people safely or virtually, it's a really good option to kind of de-stress, which leads into the next portion, which is self. Make sure to check in with yourself. So here, I've just put a couple, I guess, like blanket ideas, but persevere. Sometimes it's going to be hard to be on an online class. You're going to feel defeated. Keep going. Meet yourself where you are. Don't get frustrated with yourself if you're not understanding an assignment or you feel like the way you're taking notes isn't helpful. Don't get frustrated. Meet yourself where you are, figure out what's not working, and then move on. And if you need to take a break, take a break. Additionally, focus on the present. I love making lists, but oftentimes I'll focus too far into the future about something that is a project that I can't even start yet. So make sure that when you're making these lists, again, like I said with the SMART goals, they're attainable and they're relevant. You're not thinking, oh, well, I need to start studying for my final already because it's August. You probably don't need to start studying for your final in August, but it is a good idea to take notes because that's going to help you later when you are studying for your final. Additionally, have fun. Learning should be fun, especially if you like your major and you like the courses that you're taking. So have fun. Focus on subjects that you are interested in first. If that helps you dive into studying, if you have a certain section of your course that you're really, really interested in, start with that one. Some really good advice that my mom gave me millions of years ago was just to do things 10 minutes at a time. Even if it's difficult, oftentimes when you do it for 10 minutes, you're already into it and you just want to keep going anyways. So if you can do it for 10 minutes, you can probably do it for at least 50. But always start with 10 minutes, try for 10 minutes, and see where you're at. Just check in with yourself. Don't forget to give yourself breaks. Definitely find a hobby that you enjoy doing, whether it's painting or reading or watching movies. Take frequent breaks and give your brain a second to relax and de-stress before you head back into studying or even before you go to bed. And then don't be afraid to keep going. If you're on a roll and you're like, oh, my break's coming up, but I'm feeling really good about it. If you're feeling really good, keep going. You've got it. All right. So that's pretty much it as far as tips that I have. But on this slide, I've listed a couple of helpful articles if you're interested in learning more about any of the things that I kind of mentioned. So block scheduling, SMART goals, just a general online class tip article. And then I've also listed a couple more that are about different note-taking methods so you can find out what may work well for you. Additionally, types of agendas if you're interested in having a physical agenda. If not, there are a ton of online ones or like printable ones where you can kind of customize what they look like. And then additionally, annotation methods, which again, all of these, you can kind of create your own way of doing it. But if you don't know where to start, these resources are here for you. So yeah, thank you.